What is up, everybody? Hugo Nowhere back with another video, and in today's video I thought it'd be cool to put together a wish list of scenes that I hope that they keep in the One Piece live action season 2. The reason I say that is because obviously when you're trying to fit so many chapters of the manga into the new season of One Piece, you're bound to have some stuff on the cutting room floor. You know, we didn't have Hachan, for example, in season 1 during the Arlong Park final battle. Hachan to me was such an important, crucial part and battle for Zoro. Having that removed, I didn't necessarily like it, although I understood the reason why they did that. Animating a fisherman that looks like Hachan obviously is going to absorb a lot of the budget, and they already had to worry about so many other different sequences, and the budget was allocated to bring other things to life. So a few years later, now that hopefully the show received a little bit of extra cheddar to work with, or should I say extra bit of berries to work with, I hope that they don't cut some of these scenes. And I'm about to go ahead. I have a list of 5 total ones with some honorable mentions here and there, and I want to share those to all of you watching. So without further ado, let me share with you the top 5 scenes, manga panels, however you want to put it, that I hope that they keep in One Piece live action season 2 into the Grand Line. The first item on the list is going to be something I'm calling the Zoro sword toss. Zoro is looking for 2 new swords to replace the 2 that Mihawk broke, and he stumbles into Ippon Matsu's shop. He's the shop owner. In this moment, he's looking for swords of high quality, and he stumbles upon one called the Sandai Kitetsu, okay? One of the cursed blades in the One Piece universe. But Ippon Matsu does not want to sell it to Zoro, since he specifically says that if I sell this to you and you die, it's as if I killed you because the sword is cursed. So Zoro, being Zoro, says, okay, let's do a good old fate test. I'm gonna throw this sword up in the air, and I'm gonna just extend my arm, and if it cuts my arm off, then I'm not gonna take it. But if it doesn't, and if it misses, well, he has to sell it to him. I mean, it just kind of shows who Zoro is as a character, saying, hey, let's see who wins, me or fate, and he ends up winning, as only the backside of the sword ends up hitting him and then not necessarily doing any damage to him. So Ippon Matsu sells him the sword, as well as gives him another sword, and they're completely on the house. So Zoro walks away with 2 new swords, bringing him back to a total of 3. So that's a scene that I hope that they keep. I'm pretty sure that they will. It's not that I don't think shooting something like that costs them that much money. I just think it'll be an awesome set piece, and I just really hope that they keep it. Second manga panel or scene is Luffy's smile before he gets executed. The reason I'm putting this up there is because I definitely want them to let this moment breathe. Just as kind of a brief recap, as Luffy is visiting the center of town, he sees the platform where Goldie Roger was killed and executed, and this is where we get Buggy, and we also get Alvida. They're all in Logtown as well, and Buggy is about to chop Luffy's head off. And this is where we get the really powerful lightning strike coming down from the heavens and striking Buggy, and I hope they also keep this sequence. I definitely believe that the person that did that was Dragon. He is going to appear later on in Logtown. This is such a crucial moment for us, the readers, where we kind of see what the implication of the D in a bunch of characters' name is. Where a lot of people that have this aren't necessarily afraid of death. As a matter of fact, they welcome death. Something that seems to be a similarity between all of the Will of D members is how much they laugh in the face of danger. So having this sequence while he's about to die, I think it's important. But not only is that important, Smoker's reaction to it is also as important, because he's like, shoot, he smiled just like the Pirate King, just like Roger did, okay? And I think that's what makes Smoker realize, oh shoot, this guy's a threat. I have to capture him. This dude means business, and if he survives this, I have to go after him. And I think that's why we get that Smoker and Luffy, almost like a love-hate relationship. I really hope that they keep that. I think it's gonna be crucial for the story. So that's number 2. Number 3, Luffy and Zoro's fight at Whiskey Peak. Shortly after the Straw Hats arrive at Whiskey Peak, they get greeted with a celebration and a party. They essentially all drink too much and go directly to bed. This gives all of the agents, all these people that are claiming to just be regular townspeople, the opportunity to try and rob the Straw Hats. This is where we get some of the introduction of Baroque works, but most importantly, we get to see Zoro's alcohol tolerance, because when everybody was put to sleep for drinking too much, Zoro was not, and he overhears everything. How they know that Luffy has a 30 million berry bounty and they want to turn him in, and Zoro fights the entire town, okay, taking down Miss Monday, taking down Mr. 8, and this leads to Luffy waking up because he has to take a leak, and he sees that a bunch of people are beat up. So he goes and interrogates one of them, and they're like, Zoro attacked us. And Luffy gets outrageously mad at Zoro, claiming, why would you do that to anybody that has fed us? And they begin their one of the funniest fights in One Piece, because in the middle of this fight, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine try to get involved, only to get pushed aside by both Zoro and Luffy. They both hit him with the get out of our way, you're in the middle of our fight. And not to mention, we get the scene where we get really fat Luffy. The way that Oda draws him, just severely overweight in this scene, walking around town trying to take a leak, is so funny to me. So I hope they keep a semblance of that. I'm pretty sure they will. In the trailer, we have a few scenes of Zoro fighting a lot of the bounty hunters in Whiskey Peak, so I'm sure we're gonna get some semblance of this scene. I just hope that they keep Fat Luffy and their fight as serious as they were taking it in the manga. Heading over to Drum Kingdom, there is a more nonchalant scene, but I hope they keep it because it shows just how emotionally intelligent Luffy really is. Once they figure out that Miss Wednesday is not Miss Wednesday, it's just Vivi who infiltrated Baroque Works, trying to liberate her country of Alabasta, we're introduced to some of the Drum Island natives, but they don't want pirates to go aboard their town, and both Vivi and Luffy both explicitly say that they are there because they need a doctor for Nami. Now, at this point, Nami is suffering from an illness. She has a really high fever. They're trying to find a doctor. Regardless, they're not letting the Straw Hats even land on their island. This leads to Vivi getting shot in her shoulder and kind of falling backwards. Luffy and Zoro, everybody's about to try and jump these people that aren't letting them pass, and Vivi tells Luffy to stop. She lowers her head and bows to these people, begging for them to let them find this doctor for Nami. I'm just gonna read this straight from the manga because I think it's amazing. She says, "You're failing to carry out your duties as ship captain, Luffy. Recklessly fighting isn't always going to solve everything. If you were to start a fight right now, what would become of Nami?" Luffy realizes that he's in the wrong, and he says, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." Also joins Vivi in bowing down, saying, "We only ask for a doctor, please save our friend." I hope they keep this scene because so far we know Luffy to kind of jump the gun, start throwing fists before asking any questions. But this is, I think, one of the first moments early on in the manga where we see somebody that's not part of the crew question Luffy, and Luffy takes what they're saying seriously and corrects what he's doing for the sake of his crew. The responsibility of becoming a captain starts to really dawn on him. This is the first time I think so far this has happened, because later on we get Zoro being the person that's there to tell Luffy, hey, you're a captain, you got to start taking this seriously. We have a situation with Usopp, you know, at the end of Water 7 with the whole Going Merry situation that doesn't get resolved until they get to Sabaody. But even then, Zoro gives Luffy some truth serum because he needs to act like a captain. And this is one of the first few moments where somebody who isn't even part of the group yet kind of questions Luffy's way of running his ship. If they keep this scene, I'd be really happy, and I really hope that they do. The last item on my list isn't one particular scene or sequence. I'm just really interested to see how they are going to work in all of Chopper's points that he has. You know, he has his guard point, his arm point, his horn point. He has all of these different abilities that his fruit, the human fruit, gives him. And I want to see how they implement that throughout the time that we see in Drum Island. I'm definitely curious to see how they are going to interpret that, and I can't wait to see it. So far, the base little cute Chopper form that we have looks incredible and amazing, and I'm just curious to see how every other version of Chopper is also going to look. So I'm excited about that. Kind of at the same time, I am interested to see how they pull off, if they will, the Lappin, or if they're even gonna put these creatures in the live action. The Lappin are those really big, bulky looking rabbits that attack the crew as they are trying to make their way to see Dr. Kureha. They're kind of a big point in the story. They help Luffy on when Wappo shows up. I don't know if they're gonna add them because I feel like something like this would take a lot of time to animate, and they already might animate Wappo's hippo, Robson. So at the same time, if we don't get the Lappin, that's cool too. I just think that it'd be a really cool thing to add to Drum Island because it's one of the more, I guess, whimsical things about it. Now, to my honorable mentions before I wrap up this video. One takes place in Loketown, and it is the Smoker ice cream scene. Okay, in the manga, when we see Smoker, we see this little girl holding ice cream, and she accidentally bumps into Smoker. And usually when we see a Marine, up until now, they're very mean and disrespectful. But in this case, we see Smoker's a little bit different because instead of yelling at the child for bumping into him, he actually goes down to her level and says, "I'm sorry," and offers her money to buy more ice cream. This is where we, the readers, kind of makes it known that Smoker is not like every other Marine. He's different. He actually has some sort of values where he is able to recognize when he is wrong and tries to make it right. We see that he is one of the good Marines, for the lack of a better way to describe that. He's one of the good ones. I hope they add it. It's not that big of a scene or anything, but I just thought that was important. My next honorable mention is the scene that takes place shortly after they leave Loketown, where Nami is explaining what a comp belt is. Essentially, right, you have the Grand Line running through the middle of the One Piece world. You have a comp belt at the top and a comp belt at the bottom where there is no water current. You just stay in one place. But this is a place for the Sea Beast. The Sea Beast loves to hang out in the comp belt. So when the group gets stuck in the comp belt, we get to see that a sea beast rises from the water, and on its nose we have the Straw Hat ship. We have the Going Merry, and everybody starts to freaking freak out. And this giant sea beast, it sneezes, and this sends the Going Merry flying with the rest of our crew, and they land back in the water, and this is where we get to Reverse Mount. It is a funny scene just because of seeing everybody's facial expressions, but also seeing the sea beast for like the second time in the manga was pretty cool. So seeing something similar to this would be kind of fun, but again, this is where like they really have to animate these sea beasts, and they have already, I feel like they have a lot of things that they have to animate in season 2, so we may not get this scene at all. It might just be a brush over explanation of what the comp belts are. We just have to see, but I think this would be a really nice touch to the overall season. The last honorable mention I have is the introduction of Ace. At the end of Drum Island, when the Straw Hats are sailing away, we get an interesting scene between Dalton and his men. They give him Luffy's wanted poster where they see that he is worth 30 million berries. They said they got it about a week ago from this strange man who was looking for Blackbeard. But at that point, Blackbeard was long gone from Drum Island. So Ace asks them one more question. Have you seen a pirate wearing a straw hat come through? They say no, but then he does say that if he shows up here, let them know that I will be waiting for them in Albasta. Okay, and he will stay there for 10 days. So I really hope that they give Ace a little bit of screen time during this arc, because that would be a really nice way to end it. And this is also, I think, the first time in the manga where we get a mention of the D in people's name, because Dr. Kureha asks them, have you heard of Gold D. Roger? And everybody's like, you mean Gold Roger? Without pronouncing the D as its own separate word. And I'm reading this off of the manga. She says, is that what people call him now? It seems our reindeer will get more than he bargained for. So the will of D lives on. Oh, I get so many goosebumps just reading that. I'm so excited. I really hope that they keep that. That is my wish list for One Piece. If you watch this video all the way through, I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are as excited as me for this live action season. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And we will be talking about every single One Piece episode individually when it does come out, so stick around for that. I'm Hugo Nowhere, you stay golden, and I'll see you in the next video, which I hope is soon.